There's English bread, there's German bread, and French bread, Japan's bread. Japan does not exist. In this case, there's no choice but to create it. This is a serious biographical ballad of a boy who possesses solar hands, Azuma Kazuma, who creates the Japanese bread made by and for the Japanese people, which can be presented to the world proudly.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of Beneath the Kotatsu. My name is An, and next to me is my co-host.
Hey, it's everybody's James.
And today we're going to be talking about Yakitate Japan. And the reason why we're going to be talking about Yakitate Japan is because we did a little anime exchange. So I recommended James to watch Yakitate Japan, and he recommended me to watch Rainbow Nishika Rokubo no Shinchinin.
Shinichin.
She just whatever that last. Oh man, it's such
No, I
difficult
said it
word.
wrong too. Shichinin
Shinchinin
is the correct one.
but we're not gonna be talking about that anime today. We're gonna do it in a separate podcast. We're just gonna be talking about Yakitate Japan today, and just a heads up, we're gonna be spoiling pretty much everything about this anime. So if you haven't watched it, maybe go watch this before you listen to it. But if you don't care, go ahead and listen to us while and maybe you might pick it up because you're enjoying what we say about it.
And either way,
Um,
we're only doing the first 27 episodes. Feel free to watch after that too.
right. And the reason why we're only doing the first 27 episodes is because I thought it wouldn't be fair because Rainbow was only 26 episodes, and I thought it wouldn't be fair to have him watch the whole 61 episode of Yakitate Japan. So just to make it fair, I only got him to finish the first arc, which is 27 episodes long. But just by the first 27 episodes, would you actually consider finishing the anime?
No, absolutely. It was a
Awesome.
full anime and a half for the first 27 episodes, and I can't believe there's a lot more to go.
Awesome. Okay, and then another quick aside. Just from the first 20 episodes, what would you give it, like rating wise?
So when I rate anime, I only rate it within the genre, like only sci-fi's versus sci-fi's, cooking versus cooking, sports versus sports. I don't think there's another better cooking anime, so I think it would be fair to say either the 9 out or 10 out of 10 position.
Yeah, it's. I mean, cooking anime is. It's gotten more popular throughout the years, but I don't think
Nothing
I've.
so far has surpassed it. Like Shokugeki no Soma isn't as good.
No, Shokugeki Soma is like a second class anime compared to this. This is like the top tier
Definitely.
of cooking anime. And when you say cooking anime, Yakitate is literally just about cooking bread. We're only talking about bread. So you know it has to be really good anime. When all like do you know those like restaurants that only like serve like just one dish but they make it really well?
Yeah, I do.
Oh yeah, this is
It's
basically
like
this.
sushi.
Yeah, like sushi or they only serve chicken or they only serve certain like a single type of dish. This is the anime. It does bread, but it does bread so well.
And it teaches you how to make it too.
Oh yeah. So let's go ahead and go into the review of Yakitate Japan. So go ahead and give me what you thought about this anime, James.
So the whole premise of the show is, as we said, Azuma Kazuma is this young kid. The first episode goes into his backstory. It shows him small, learning the motivation behind why he wants to make bread as a little kid. His grandpa only ever wanted to eat rice, and his sister was just the rebel of the family. She wanted bread, and she was slowly manipulating Kazuma to turn him to the bread side so that he would eventually infiltrate his Ji-san's mind and make it so that bread is, his number one food priority, at least for breakfast.
Would I would consider his sister as trying to be like one of those cute girls that are like running down the street with the bread in her mouth.
Chikoku, Chikoku. Set on a motorcycle
Except yeah,
with
except on a
with a
motorcycle.
full basket of bread.
Oh my gosh, yeah, yep. What like can you tell me some of the parts you actually liked about the anime?
So I would want to go in chronological order. So the first, you know, part of the area was definitely the competition involving the first two breads that he makes in an official capacity in the show. So the first bread is the Fuji-san bread. Uh, it is this, it's actually a naan that he made. It's not an actual bread, but this kid doesn't know that. He's basically a master of bread, but he doesn't know the name of anything. Everything he learned was through self-exploration, trying different ways of doing different things for his family.
Right, 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 right.
And there's a character that they introduced. They actually introduced four key characters throughout the show. One of them is Kuroyanagi. He's the overall judge for every tournament. He's very aggressive and doesn't really take any guff. Then there is Tsukino, who is, at the time, we don't know her standing, but she's basically the manager of one of the stores, or manager, not an official capacity, because there's another character that's introduced later on that actually manages. It's just due to her age, because she's a
Right,
high
right,
school
right.
student.
Right.
Then Kawamichi is one of the first people that notices Azuma Kazuma's solar hands, and he does a weird thing where he grabs his hand. He's like, "Oh, this is nice," and he puts it under his armpits just to feel the warmth of it. And it's and that's how I was like, "Oh man, this guy's hilarious." But then he quickly made me hate him because he immediately tried to sabotage him in the first battle. Do you remember what the first bread he tried to make before the Fuji bread?
I don't think he. I think he was trying to make bread number 53 or something. I think that's what he called it, but we don't actually know what it was.
Okay, because Kawamichi was quick to sabotage him. He did like a trick where he threw a rolling pin behind him and got Azuma's attention and made him slip and throw his dough in there. At which point Kawamichi, conveniently slips on the bread and apologizes to Azuma. And
Right.
man, this dude was like Goku's Vegeta. He's a super bad guy. I hate him absolutely. I want to see him fail spectacularly, which of course later he's gonna change my mind in the show. So he quickly pivots and starts making a new bread. He makes the Fuji bread. Can you explain how the Fuji bread was made?
Okay. Yeah. So the Fuji bread. Okay. Well, let me backtrack a little bit to when you're introducing Kawamichi. So the reason why he puts Ozma's hand underneath his armpit is because he has these solar hands. And what solar hands are is he has the ability to he has more blood flow. So Kazuma has more blood flow in his hand, which causes his hand to be warmer than normal. So whenever he makes bread, the bread actually ferments faster. And so this is the reason for the sabotage. This is why Kawamichi's such a dick right here.
Direct threat.
I'm gonna throw Kawamichi right under the bus because he's such a dick. So whenever they're making bread, Kazuma starts out with his first bread. He needs his first bread, and Kawamichi's right next to him, right next to the table. He's kneading his bread, and then once Kawamichi's done kneading his bread, he looks at his bread. He's like, yes, now I just gotta wait for it to ferment. And then he looks over at Kazuma's bread. He's like, oh, I'm done with my second fermentation. And
That's
he's
right.
like,
He did notice him.
right. Right, and he's like, "Oh, I cannot let him get to the final round," and that is the reason why he sabotaged Azuma. That is the reason why he's a dick. And usually when people sabotage another person, it's for usually a certain reason. But would you just sabotage another person because they have better ability than you? Oh my god, that what a dick
Yeah, it
move.
happens a
That
lot
is.
in these competition animes, doesn't it?
It does. It does. That is such a dick. Okay, so so basically when Ozma's bread gets sabotaged, he needs to make another bread, but he only has a certain amount of time. So he decides to make his bread number I don't remember what it was, like number 30 something, 32,
Something like that.
33. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he needs to make a bread that doesn't rise, that doesn't need to ferment. So whenever he makes his bread, he he creates this weird looking mountain. I don't know how else to describe it other than a mountain. He creates this mountain bread that he calls Mount Fuji. Uh, but instead of it's not just a regular bread. It's a naan bread. It's the Indian naan bread. But he doesn't know that it's a naan bread because he's a backwater kid. He likes to experiment with bread, but he doesn't know the official name of bread. So whenever the judge Kurenagi judge like eats this bread, he goes into um a full out like reaction with a full dance number and everything. He goes into this Indian dance number, and he's like, "This isn't Mount Fuji. This is the number one mountain in the world. This is Mount Everest."
It's a greater bread than Azuma thought it was.
Yes, it's and also we talked about how Kurenagi is like a hard ass. He is a very hard judge. Uh,
Absolutely.
and Kazuma's the only person that actually got a positive score. And I'm actually glad he got that positive score because he was literally at 1 point for just for can you remind me why he was at 1 point?
He was late for the tournament. He was the only person late, and everybody's like, "Come on, man, this is a competition. Take it serious." And then he kept on calling him G-San or something like that, and freaking he's only 22 years old, Kuroyanagi, so he
Right.
took that as an insult.
Yeah, and he gave him he deducted. And then keep in mind, everyone only has 10 points, so if you lose all your points, you're immediately kicked out of the competition. And the Kurenagi, he is known for literally he will give you just -10 points for not being well kept. Like if you have,
Well, that's
you
part
know,
of being a chef, right? You need to
right, it's
be
part of being a
clean
chef.
and
Right, right,
well
right.
groomed.
But he was just straight up kick you out of the competition. He was like, "You look unclean. You're out. You're done. You're done. Get out of here. Get out. I don't want to see your face again." He is
To
the
be
type.
fair, that guy that they deducted the immediate points from, he was, they drew him like super fat and like dirty looking, kind of like the pig from Charlie Brown who has like a dust cloud following him around wherever he walks.
Right, right, right. But he did remove 3 people total, and like some of them, like made sense about being thrown out. Do you remember when he kicked out 2 people because they made butter rolls and was like, your butter roll is trash. Get out of my face. I don't want to see your face ever again
That
because you
was
made
around
butter rolls.
episode 15 or
No, no,
16,
no,
I think.
no, no, no. The butter roll from the first
Oh,
from the first
the lunch
competition.
dinner roll where
Yes.
they picked they followed
No, no, not
Kazuma and they picked the sea
no, no,
grade
no, not
butter.
not that scene. It was the open competition where it was the same competition where Azuma made the non-mountain bread. It was like you can make any bread you want, and 2 guys made butter rolls,
Or
and
was
he's
it
like,
because they used margarine instead of butter?
no,
Was
no,
that?
no, 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 no. That was like near the mid competition. I'm still talking about like whenever they made the non bread, and Kawamichi made this Chinese bread, and this was the very very first competition, like the very first bread the bread baked in the very first competition, where he's like, you guys get 0 points for breaking butter rolls. And it's like, wait, but my butter roll looks better than his butter roll. I can't. Why are we both getting eliminated from this competition? It's like, because both of your butter rolls are bad. Whenever you bake a bread, it has to have good rigidity. And he goes up to the samurai guy, Suibara, right? If I recall correctly, that's his name.
Correct.
And he asks Suibara's like, "May I?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, go for it." And he straight out just punches the bread, and the bread just bounces back to its original shape. And he's like, "You know what? Kazuma, Kawamichi, what was the girl's name?
Tsukino.
Yeah, Tsukino and the Suibara. You move on to the finals. Everyone else, you're eliminated." And keep
No,
in mind, this is like 40 or 50 people.
I mean, you gotta call the numbers really fast. Either way, I think she is a plant, right? She didn't really count.
Yeah, it was technically only 3 people in the finals. He basically, like, this is like the very you would think that they would have at least like 4 or 5 uh like bake-offs before you start eliminating that many people. He literally went from 50 people, and then after the first round he went to 3 people.
It was super fast. I was surprised at how fast that was. I didn't
It's like,
mind
all
it
of you
though.
guys, you're eliminated. You're eliminated. Go. Done. You're done. Get out of here.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it because I'm not really a fan of tournament arcs, but this anime somehow made me really like tournament arcs.
Oh yeah, this is like the ultimate tournament arcs of tournament arcs, because it was just like
Yeah, you
the
don't
most
need fighting. You
ridiculous.
just need really good reactions in bread baking.
Oh yeah, you need good bread and you need good reactions. Okay, so what else did you like about that competition?
So the second part of that competition, definitely when Azuma showed some of his noobness at making bread, his you know I know I'm gonna say backwater, like even though Kawamichi is also pretty backwater, but he knows a lot more than Kazuma does. When they went to make the croissant roll, Kazuma absolutely had no idea what everybody was talking about, what type of bread they were making.
Oh
He
yeah,
called it
yeah,
croissant, and
that's
he
right, that's right.
freaking called his family, say, "Do you know who croissant is?" And this is something that Azuma does a few more times in the show. I'm assuming after episode 27, he does it a few more times after that. He calls his family to consult, if they know what something is. I love this kid.
Right.
But so, like, he's a big baller, but man, does he show how his noob colors really easily.
He's like that. He's like the god tier character that doesn't know that he's a god.
Exactly. He's like One Punch Man if One Punch Man didn't know who One Punch Man was.
He has all this power, but he has no idea how to use it correctly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, what did you enjoy about the last competition in that? This is what I mean. Like we went from like the first stages of the competition to the final stage because there was only
I
two
mean,
rounds of
there's
the
exactly.
competition.
I mean, he went there thinking he was just, getting hired for a job immediately. He didn't even
Right.
know it was a competition. I'm glad it was fast.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Definitely when he pulled out that he actually knew what the crescent roll is, whatever number it was, I forget. Uh,
Right.
how many layers did he make of the croissant instead of the regular 320 something? He made like
No.
600 plus.
No. He made 300. He made 300 layers.
Oh,
The
right,
usual
that's
amount is
right.
like yeah. He made like the usual. I think the usual amount is like 150 something. He doubled that to 324 layers if I recall correctly.
Great. And do you know why he made so many extra layers?
Okay, so the reason why you bake a croissant with so many layers is the more layers it has, the flakier a croissant is. But his explanation of why you never bake a croissant with more than 300 layers is because the more layers you have, the thinner the layers are, and the thinner the layers are, the easier it is to burn whenever you bake it. So at 300 layers, the outer layers actually start to burn before the interior of the bread actually fully bakes. So that's the reason you never make one that's so many layers.
And those layers were super thin. They were see-through actually. They held them up into there. They looked like wax paper.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. He actually held it up in the air. It's like, what the hell is this? Is this even bread anymore?
Exactly. And Suwabar was so surprised when he saw that. He's like, "Why are you guys, coming to the competition with this burnt piece of bread?" And it was actually Kawamichi that submitted it as his own bread, even though he kind of, sneaked his way with Asuma's heartstrings. He's like, "Oh, my family's gonna become, homeless and they're not gonna be able to eat anything. I need to, make a living for them. Please help me out, Azuma."
Right. Yeah. He straight up just he somewhat lies to Kazuma, tells him like, "Hey, I need you to drop out of this competition so I can win because my family is poor and
He
I
made
need
him
the money."
cry, dude.
Yeah, he made Kazuma cry.
That made
And
me
Kaz
really hate Kawamichi.
yeah, he's like Azuma's like, "Okay, you know what? Yeah, you can have this competition. I'm gonna drop out because I don't want to make your family poor." So
Yeah, and
Azuma
there was Sukino like
gives him
watching
the
everything happen.
oh yeah. Like she's in the back. She's just watching this all go down, and and the whole time he has no idea that she's a plant. She's a plant for this competition. Um, and so Kazuma gives Kawamichi his amazing super croissant recipe. Which so the reason why it shows up all black and burnt is because Kazuma, of course, he knows that if you make a bread with 300 something layers, it's gonna turn black before it fully cooks all the way, and he knows that, and he's prepared for that. And so during the competition, whenever they present their croissant to the judge, Kurenagi looks at both bread and he's like, okay, well one bread looks actually edible, the other one is just a straight up piece of charcoal, and
You
he's like,
could
how am I?
tell he was revving up to give him the insult of a lifetime, bringing it into a Pantasia competition. Come on.
Right. And even in his head he's like I can't believe I have to eat this, but I made the promise that I was gonna eat like the finalist bread, so I have to eat it. So when he's ready to eat this bread, Kyle Beach is like, hold up, wait. if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out with a blaze of glory. So Kazuma told him like he gives him a spoon, right? He's like, you gotta use this, and he's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with the spoon? So he takes the spoon and he slams the spoon against the bread. The charcoal layer breaks away and it unveils this golden moon shaped croissant. And
Something out of a dream.
oh yeah, and this is one of my favorite reactions. So when Kurenagi eats this piece of bread, he goes into the what was it, the Apollo 51 mission or whatever. He goes
Something like that.
yeah, he goes into this full space reaction where he's in space, he's on the moon, he's like, oh my god, this is the most like Houston, this is the most amazing bread in the world, and the bread floats off into space and it becomes a piece of the moon. It's so hard to explain these like
That's
reactions because
exactly how it happened. It was way
yeah,
over the top.
it was so way over the top. But like this competition was only it was only two fights total. Like 40 people cooled down to 3 people, and then it went to one person. This is like the fastest. This is like the fastest tournament I've ever seen.
Well, I wouldn't even count the second battle of the tournament. I was about to say that the second was even shorter because it was a one and done, but it was a competition between stores
um.
where,
Oh no, I'm talking about the. I'm still talking about like the first competition where they only had 2 battles in the competition.
oh right, yeah, that was super
Right.
short. It's nice and
Yeah, it was super
sweet.
short. Yeah. But let's go. Let's move on to the next competition. The one versus what was it? Pantasia
Mokoyama,
versus Saint
St.
Pierre,
Pierre's
right?
store, yeah, and the
Right.
manager of the St. Pierre store was Mokoyama, this super flamboyant guy. The only thing he likes really more than bread is getting a good pedicure and a haircut, and getting all nice and gussied up for
Can you
his
describe his
debut.
looks for me?
He looks like Dabura from Dragon Ball Z, without the red makeup. Uh, Different ears, but the whole body shape is exactly the same. He has almost the same facial hair. His head's nice and narrow too.
He even has like the
Dabura
elf
has
ears.
slightly different hair as well, but almost exactly picture perfect. He looked like Dabura after he lost his job on Dragon Ball Z.
He became a bread
Uh,
maker.
Yeah, he became a bread baker, super into getting his nails done. That was his wish from the Dragon Balls. I want to be a bread maker, nice and famous.
I want to own a bread store. I want to make bread.
Yeah, I would absolutely do the same thing if I was in Dabura shoes. Anyways, so the whole reason for the fight is because the manager of Pantasia store, Matsuhiro, and Mokuyama have a old, they have history.
A rivalry.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it a rivalry. I guess I would, but Mokuyama has a thing for the manager, actually. He
Wait.
really likes
Can
him.
you can you
Even
just we kind of skip past it, but can you explain what the Fantasia manager looked like?
Pantasia manager looks like he's a super buff, Fist of the North Bakery kind of guy. He looks like he has an afro and sunglasses. Was it aviators that he has?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and this guy he hangs out with a horse so much that he ends up taking after his horse and mimicking some of the reactions that the horse does. And
You know what he kind of looks like to me? Do you
what?
remember that meme video like a long time ago? It was like the black guy showing off that he can use nunchucks, but he hits himself in the face with it.
I vaguely recall that. It's been a very long time. So many memes.
He somewhat looks like that, but way buffer and way cooler, and he could probably use nunchucks in real life.
Dude, Matsuhiro's a straight up. He's killed people before. They counted it was 50 people at least in one instance.
And this guy is a manager of a bread store, guys. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah,
he's
he's actually
he's very
the
buff. Right, go ahead.
he's literally one of the best French bread makers in the world. He actually has a horse that acts as a litmus test for good French bread.
It, you know what's funny is that even if he doesn't even use the horse's judgment half the time. Do you remember like at the end of that part where it's like, but the horse didn't like it. It's like I don't care if the horse didn't like it or not. I like it.
That's true. He had the final say on it. The horse wouldn't eat it because it was made with what, goat's milk?
Yeah, go like I think the competition. So this was like in between like kind of like a filler episode where he wants Ozma to create a bread that the horse would like. So horse can't eat, I think, regular milk because it has some type of bacteria in it. So instead of horse milk, he creates it with goat's milk. What was the goat's name? Can you? I don't recall. The goat had a name
It
though.
was something cute. It was like Mimi or something like that. Yeah, I forgot the exact name. That was a minor detail. They only mentioned it once.
I know they mentioned it once, but it was like a full thing where his sister had to drive the goat's milk up to him.
Yeah, she did.
So he creates this bread out of this goat milk, and he gives it to the manager. The manager eats it. He really likes it, so he throws the piece to the horse. The horse rejects it, and he's like, "Screw the horse. I like the bread. You're hired."
Yeah, well, he has the final say either way, right? He's the professional.
Right? Yeah, but the whole time, Ozma's like, "I need this bread to like my bread. I need this horse to like my bread, or I'm not gonna get hired." Horse ends up hating the bread. He's like, "I don't care about this horse. I like
Yeah,
the bread.
but
I disregard your reality and substitute my own."
a little bit of Chunibyo. But anyways, like, going back to Mokuyama, this was actually a big milestone for Azuma because that's a manager of another big chain store, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it was a big competition. I do you remember what was at stake? I don't remember what was at stake.
I think, no, I don't actually. It's something about, maybe, yeah, I
Oh,
don't recall.
I think I remember it was the loser side had to close down their store or something like that, right?
Yes, yeah, that's what I was thinking too, but I didn't want to say because I wasn't too sure.
I think that's what it was because the bread stores were literally across the street from each other. So
Diagonal.
yeah, diagonally. So I think the fight was to see who would close down their store because you can't have two bread stores right next to each other.
No
That makes no
way.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead and talk about this competition here.
So this was actually a televised competition, and I just wanted to mention Mokoyama tried to get a very elaborate costume approved by the TV station, and they immediately shut him down.
Wait, I don't remember this
You
scene. What
don't?
was?
Oh my!
I do not remember this.
It
Can
looked
you
like
explain
something
what it looked like?
you would wear like on Yuri and Ice, proper, ice skating competition outfit. It was all glittery. It was great. It was white and green, I believe.
Oh my gosh, why did I forget that? That's just the most randomest thing ever.
Yeah, I told you I love Mokuyama, dude. He's the type of character is one of my favorite type of character tropes.
He's so random. All
Yeah,
right, can you explain the bread he makes?
it's just a super sugary bread. I believe it had cream inside of it or a pudding.
Right, right, right,
Yeah, he
right.
he made a super sweet outer bread, and on the inside he put just a mellow pudding so it balances out. I remember it was super expensive. Do you remember how much he said it would have costed?
Uh, I think roughly the price of the bread would have been like maybe 10 or something dollars. I don't recall, but it was very expensive. But he ends up charging like only $1.50 for the bread. I think that's like the base price because he wants a good score on it. So I think that's the cost of like the full ingredient amount is $1.50. So that's what he charges for the bread. And he ends up getting like a full like 10 out of 10 score for it, which in my opinion was
Well
kind of
worth
kind
it.
of
I
lame.
would eat that every day if I had that access to that. That looked really good when they dried it.
I'd probably die after like probably the second week because
So much sugar.
it was so much sugar.
Get a foot chopped
Um,
off. In
and then
contrast, Azuma makes like the most, cheapest
the jank.
possible bread.
You know what this reminds me of? Do you
What?
remember the first real Shokugeki from Soma where he gets into the fight with the meat girl? Meat girl pulls out like A5 Wagyu beef. And Soma shows up with like the supermarket on sale meat.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I remember that clearly.
But yeah,
And he
that's
still
what it
won.
reminds me
Same
of.
thing happened here. Azuma won.
He technically didn't win. They
It was more of a
technically
tie, really.
it was a tie. It was a tie, but since it was like a manager versus like an employee, the manager gave him the win. Uh,
And also because
because
of the price, too. The price really put it in his favor.
well, I mean, Ozma charged zero. He charged free for it, which uh uh
He
the
thought
the
up
other
on the
store
spot.
manager. Yeah, he was like, you can't charge free for it. That makes no sense. Ozma goes into a full explanation about this bread. He's like, well, they're gonna throw it out anyways. They're gonna throw out this piece of bread, so might as well, uh, instead of it going in the trash, I'm gonna repurpose it to make a new bread, and then I'm just gonna give it out for free. And keep in mind that even if he's giving out for free, it's having people go in the store, picking out other breads. So it in terms it's more
Advertisement.
it's
It's
advertisement. Yeah,
worth it.
it's worth every penny.
Right, so and Mokoyama left in disgrace. Uh, really probably
Only to show up late.
yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about it
That was
later.
my favorite moment of the show. So the next part is where we coming to like the meat and potatoes of the first arc, the
The real
main,
art.
the real arc. This is the Pantasia newcomers competition. That in order to qualify for this, Kawamichi and Azuma had to make a 2 to 3 week no mold bread. Do
That's
you
right. That's
remember
right.
how Azuma made his no mold bread?
I think he used like a special milk, right? Or
He used
it's been a
wasabi.
oh wasabi. That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
he went walking to another city and collapsed in front of a sushi store. And the guy just like, oh my god, dude, you need something to eat? And he gave him like wasabi rolls or something like that. And then that's when he got inspiration.
He gets like the most random inspiration from the most random things.
It's like divine, divine direction, guiding or whatever.
Divine intervention.
Divine intervention. There you go.
Honestly, I bet you if he collapsed in front of like any random store, he'd probably get like some divine judgment from
Yeah,
it. He'd
he would have
probably
walked
make
out
some
of
kind
Famima,
of hey look,
get
I
some
collapsed.
hamburger bread or something like that. He'd make something
I
really good out of it.
I can imagine him like collapsing in front of like a an arcade, and he comes out like thinking like I need to put electronics in my bread.
It would be like a walking bread. If they have
I
whatever
can see him
type
make
of
that.
Raspberry Pi robotic in Japan at that time, who knows?
Raspberry Pi.
Raspberry Pi bread.
Oh my gosh. Um,
So yeah, and
I don't
then
recall that competition too much, but I do remember when they introduced the pig character.
oh my god, the pig character. I thought that dude was a little kid.
Right. How old was he?
Yeah, it actually turns out he's 31, and he's married to a super hot woman that he married after 3 months. They're super lovey-dovey. It's hilarious. And I only remember that because it made me flash back to when he was running back in another episode, and Kazuma went to bat for him only because it reminded him of a pet pig that they had at his old house. And he was petting
Oh yeah.
him, and this 31-year-old guy was just letting him, and he was happy about it. It was weird.
I remember because like he had a really cool ability. He had like a super powerful nose or something.
Yeah, able
He
to tell his own moldy bread from a stack of other moldy breads.
right. And the reason why that was is because he was eliminated because of course his bread mold, and he pleaded with Kurenagi. He's like, no, I need to get into this competition. So Kurenagi says, okay, well I'll let you into this competition if you take one of those breads and eat it. So there's these two giant barrels of moldy bread, and he's like, well, which one should I eat? Because of course, if he eats this, he's gonna get sick and he might die from it. So he uses his nose and he's able to pick out his own crappy moldy bread, and that's what he eats. And Kurenagi was so impressed by that that he let him move on to the next competition. And usually, like usually whenever there's a competition with Kurenagi, there's always like a huge culling of like competitors. Like we have 100 people. Next round is like, oh, we only have 20 people left.
Yeah, and
I think he just wants to make the job easy for himself.
I think so too, but I also think he has high standards. I mean, the dude did graduate at Harvard, right?
Oh yeah, he did. That's like the most random detail. Like he graduated from Harvard,
And
and
he's
just
only
like,
22.
yeah, he's only 22.
Yeah.
That would have meant he graduated like he probably went to college when he was like maybe 14 or 16 or something like that.
High school, he was 16 in high school, and he skipped a
Oh
bunch of
really?
grades. Yeah, they had a flashback around episode 27.
You know what's even funnier is there even a cooking course at Harvard?
I don't think so. I wouldn't be. Don't they have pirate classes over there?
I don't I have no idea. I don't think there's a cooking class. So if he graduated from Harvard, he would have to go to a baking class afterwards, right?
I bet, yeah.
His,
But I'm pretty sure.
his backstory is so absurd. It's the
I
most
think
absurd backstory.
his basis for mentioning Harvard is I remember in later episodes he was talking about finding the perfect East. We could talk about that later
Yeah,
on near
later.
then because that's like the last final battle that they talk
Right,
about it.
right, right, right.
And so, anyways, going back to the moldy bread stuff, Kawamichi also gets through by making a bread inspired by the manager dunking his flask full of brandy all over his head. And he takes it as an insult, but then it just like clicks in his head. He's like, "Oh, I wasn't trying to inspire you. I was just, taking him.
Take inspiration. Take inspiration where you can find it, right?
Yeah, take inspiration where you can find it." He took him to task though, and he got through because of it.
I mean, that's good. I actually don't remember that too much of that first part of the competition. All I remember is like the full like real competition between all the real competitors.
Yeah, the pig kid was definitely the best one out of that
Oh
whole little mini arc.
no no no! You know what was the best part of the mini arc is
What?
when I remember when these people got eliminated and Kurenagi was consoling them. And you can't see it, but I'm doing like air quotes. He was consoling
Oh
them,
my gosh.
and Ozma and what was the girl's name? Kiri
Tsukino?
uh, Tsukino. There you go. Ozma and Tsukino. They're both looking at Kurenagi whispering these two guys' ears, and Ozma's like, "Oh, he's probably consoling them because they made it to like the not the finals, but they're like in this head competition." And then it pans over to Kurenagi just whispering in their ears that they're trash, like trash, 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 trash. Go
Kiss,
home,
kiss,
you're
kiss, kiss,
trash.
kiss, 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 kiss. That was probably the best insult for the
Oh,
entire first 27 episodes. I don't know if anything's gonna top that. It's very
he
iconic.
insulted them so much they started crying like mid insult.
Oh man. So
Trash, trash,
yeah.
trash, trash. Go home, trash, trash, trash.
So after
Sorry, go ahead,
the
go ahead.
whole mold bread thing, this is where we actually, start to see a little bit more of Kawamichi. He's a little bit feeling despondent because he sees Azuma and his solar gauntlets. Is like, well, what do I got? I'm just a backwater kids. I don't have solar hands. Uh, so this is where the manager and Tsukino let him in on the whole secret of the solar gauntlets, and they basically have to train up his body in order to increase his blood flow to make like a pseudo solar hands.
Right. Yeah, he has to do like a lot of like strength training and
Yeah, they
has to do a
just
lot of
throw him in a big
swimming.
Olympic pool with like a huge weight on him, and he slowly gets super buff.
Yeah, he's like trade. You just gotta trade.
This is the
You have
beginning
to
of Rock Lee.
the Rock Lee bread arc.
The Rock. Well, we'll find out later in episode 27. He really does turn into Rock Lee.
All right, all right. What was the first battle? I don't even recall the first battle of the competition.
First battle was the dinner roll. They had to
Uh,
pick
the
it was like A, B, C, D, E, F butters, and I think what
oh right
two of
right
them
right
were
right.
margarine.
No, one of them was margarine. There's a margarine plant. If you pick margarine, you're immediately eliminated.
Didn't Ozma pick like the absolute worst butter
Yeah, he
out of the
picked
whole
margarine.
bunch?
No, he picked margarine.
Oh my
He
god,
was
he
supposed.
did. That's
Yeah,
right, he did.
he was supposed to get eliminated, but his dumbass like created some special type of super vapor action brand that got him to the next competition. I remember because I remember that scene because um, the manager was like, "Oh, Kurenagi, you don't see the miracle that he pulled out of his brain." I'm like, "What the heck is? He should have been eliminated." But he straight up just moved on to the next competition because his amazing
Super
skill that he
vapor
put in.
action.
He has super vapor action
Do you
eliminated
remember
the
how
use
he
of
did it?
margarine. I think he
He cooked it at a super high
super high
temperature.
temperature,
It was
right?
at
Yeah.
400 degrees for like 3 minutes instead of the regular. I think it was three something at maybe double that time.
Yeah, it caused the bread to expand so fast that it inflated the bread with a lot of heat in it.
and
I don't
steam.
remember. I just remember what's called super vapor action.
That was the I really like that super vapor action. I repeated that to myself a couple times after that episode, just walking around the house. Super vapor action.
Super vapor action. I need to get some menthol on me because I need some super vapor action.
Yeah, and meanwhile, going back to Kawamichi's solar gauntlets, at this time Azuma was doing like his, he was at his grandpa's house. This is like a really important part. He's playing Minecraft out there collecting materials, and what we don't know at the time is he's actually getting materials for a secret item that we're gonna be teased about for like 7 episodes straight, man.
And this is the most absurd secret item
It,
in any show.
yeah,
It
I'm
was so weird.
surprised. Like the show was like in 2000s. You'd imagine that they had stuff like pizza stones them around then, right?
Yeah, but I don't root it until we get to the part where
Okay.
okay. What was the next competition after that? I don't remember.
So after that, they go straight into introducing some members of Tsukino's family. It's actually a little sister that she had named Mizuno. And when I first saw this, I was like, man, this kid's a little shit. It's at the point where it bothers Azuma Kazuma because Azuma's very geared towards family and making bread
Yeah,
towards his family. And
right,
this
right, right.
Mizuno absolutely refuses to treat her sister like an older sister. He doesn't even call her Nechan, and this causes like a whole fight between them where they have to wager. I believe if Azuma loses, he has to go work at Mizuno's store, right?
Right.
And then
And
if Mizuno loses, she has to call her big sister Nechan, which is really one-sided wager to me, if you ask
it's
me.
the most absurd wager, but that's definitely a causable
I mean,
wager.
stealing an employee versus calling your sister Nechan, come on.
And um what was the I think the competition was like the melon, right? The melon
Yeah, that's
competition?
where they had the 3D melon. Looked like a
Yes,
PlayStation
yes,
melon.
yes. Let me okay, so I remember when I got you to watch the anime and you're telling me like, "Hey, what do you think about the 3D melon?" I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about? What 3D melon are you talking about?" And so you gave me the episode number and I skimmed through it real quick and I looked at the melon. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this thing is in 3D." I didn't even notice. I've watched this anime like 3 or 4 times and I've never noticed that this melon was in 3D. And I think it was like the first time I've ever seen 3D in this anime besides like the ending theme. Um,
The ending theme
it
was
was
introduced that episode, I believe.
oh was it?
Yeah,
It
the
was
one
so it
where
was
Matsuhiro's dancing in disco.
uh one of the best ending themes in my
Did they
opinion.
even have
It,
3D in other anime before that? I can't think of another anime that
I think
early.
so.
I would
I
imagine,
think
I
so.
guess.
Like maybe like robot animes or something like that.
Yeah, that
But
would.
I mean they did it so well, it just kind of blended in with the anime.
It looked a lot
And
better than a lot of 3D in anime we have today. It
I mean
was
it
just
wasn't
it
really
was just a
moving.
short scene. Yeah, they cut it and it rolled to the side. It was really quick.
Yeah, it was really quick. I like all I remember is just them holding it and then they cut it and then that was it. That was it. It was like maybe like 3 or 4 shots of this weird 3D melon. I don't even know why they
Yeah,
had a
that
3D melon.
the way they shaded it reminded me of the circles in the old PlayStation 1 menu for the memory cards. That's the only reason I remember that thing so much.
It was so random. I was like, why is this melon in 3D? It didn't even need to be in 3D. They could have drawn it. You know why I think it was in 3D? Maybe the
Proof of
shape was it.
concept.
No, not proof of concept, but maybe the shape was too elaborate for them to draw it because you know how Japanese melons have those weird like lines and whatever.
Oh, well, I mean, at the same time, a circle's one of the most basic things to draw, right? A sphere.
I know it's a circle, but it had like very elaborate like like it probably it saved them a lot of time not to have to draw it over and over again
They
and then just
didn't
animate
really
it in
use
there.
it any other time. It's in the first 27 eps. That's the only instance of, aside from the ending, of 3D,
Right.
right? Because they needed bread, like they drew bread being needed, which would be harder to draw.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like I don't know. I don't know why they did it. It was just out of
I'm
nowhere.
pretty sure it was just
I
like
didn't
a
even
proof of concept. Anyways, so that fight, uh, once again, cheap prevails over expensive, right?
Right.
The most
Well,
juiciest
wait. What
watermelon
was it?
lost out.
What was the expensive ingredient versus the cheap one?
He used melon soda.
Oh, that's right, melon soda. Melon soda versus like a 200,000 yen like melon, right?
Yeah,
Something like
wasn't
that.
that the fight that Azuma invited Tsukino out and she took it as like an invitation to date and she got her hopes up?
Oh yeah, he invited her to like a sushi restaurant or
Yeah,
something like that,
no,
right?
no, no. They went out shopping for materials and she was like, they flipped the script on us. They showed Tsukino carrying Azuma's bags instead of the other way around.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
He was shopping for inspiration.
yeah. He's like, I don't have money to pay. Come with me. I don't have
Um,
money. She just took her for her wallet. And that's not the first time. That's not the last
I
time
feel
he's
so
gonna
bad for
do that.
Tsukino.
Yeah, I know, right?
I feel so bad for her.
I,
She's such a nice character.
I mean, she gets slapped around in later eps. It's weird. It's hilarious
She,
too.
I know. I mean, this anime like turns over a lot of tropes.
It really does, especially, you know,
Like for such an early anime, like it doesn't really follow most tropes. It's really out there.
I think at that point there was a lot of tropes that were established, especially if you look at TV and drama and stuff like that. It's
Right, right,
not
right.
just for anime tropes.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost every single trope they flip the script on.
I feel like this anime somewhat resembles like Gintama in the way like they just kind of do tropes after tropes, but they do it in weird, funny ways that don't really follow generic
It
tropes.
was really good, and they also
Oh
did a
yeah.
mountain load of puns through the entire show,
I mean, all the reactions were pretty much puns, right?
basically.
I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of the puns because a lot of the puns have to do with wordplay, and that's where all the reactions come from is from wordplay.
And just going back to the bread that Azuma makes. For that fight, he makes a sushi bread. He makes like a cookie top. Do you remember what the other type of bread was? Because I remember in the middle he glues the two pieces of bread with like a whipped melon soda cream that he makes.
Right. Okay. Okay. I remember the reason why he makes this bread. So the reason why he makes this bread is so the competition. So the competition was to make a melon bread, and he wants to make the perfect melon bread. But the biggest downside to a melon bread
That's
is that
right.
yep, that if you bake this bread with the upper crust on it, it's you're either gonna have an unfinished bread with with a finished cookie crust on top, or you're gonna have a finished bread with an overdone cookie layer crust on top. So his thing was to bake the bread separately and then bake the cookie top separately and combine them with a weird soda cream that he puts in the middle and he got this idea from watching a guy make sushi. He didn't he even invite the sushi guy to come watch the competition
I
and make
think he
sushi for
just
them?
invited himself to the competition. I think he went to look at him at the store and maybe Kageto, the mushroom haired dude, told him where they were. But he straight
Right.
up brought a whole setup of expensive sushi and made it for them right then and there.
That was so random. It was like, why is the sushi guy here making sushi for them?
I don't know, man. It's so weird. But it worked.
It worked. It works, and he ends up winning against this like 200,000 yen melon, whatever,
Well, on the bread
his
alone.
idea. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Kage, I keep on forgetting his name. Kuroyanagi yelled at Mizuno because she was trying to win using the fruit, not the bread.
Right. Oh, I remember. I remember when he was judging. He's like, Kazuma wins. He's like, but you didn't even try our bread. He's like, I've already tried your bread because you make the same bread at the store. I don't need to try this bread. I already know this bread is superior than that bread. Get out of my face.
He has no respect for rank. I love that dude.
He has no respect for anybody.
No, I think Meister is the only guy, which is the masked
Yeah,
blonde
but he's
man.
the CEO. But he's the CEO of
Yeah,
the store, so I like he has respect for people that can make bread better than him. So I guess that makes sense, right?
yeah. And so after that, they, uh, she's like, you had to beat my koala champion in order to get me to call uh, Suki no Nechan.
Well, wait, can you describe this koala? What this koala man looks like?
Oh man, when I first saw, I was like, dude, who is like? It took me a few seconds. Is this gonna be like a Scooby Doo moment where there's like a villain under that hat? I just looked at his arms for like a 30 seconds. Like, hold on a second, those arms, that stature, the body type. Is that Mokuyama? And most definitely was. It turns out he got canned. Uh, pun
The Saint
intended.
Pierre,
Yeah,
the
he got
Saint Pierre
canned from
manager,
Saint Pierre from losing the. I mean, it was televised,
the televised
right?
competition.
Yeah, I'm not surprised he got canned for that. He didn't need
Right,
to
right, right.
invite them at all.
I think he went over the top of that competition, but whatever.
Anyways, yeah.
His
So
lost.
and his not to mention his mannerisms had definitely changed. He wasn't flamboyant or anything like that. He even had a little pand koala tear coming out of his dark eye. He's all sad all the time
Sad koala
from
man.
his lost stature. They don't immediately go into the next fight, do they? I think they go into the yakisoba fight.
The yakisoba. Honestly, the yakisoba fight wasn't that good because it
Not
really didn't
really.
have to do much about bread because it was more about the noodles. But I thought the scene where they visit the Chinese master was pretty hilarious.
Dude, I did not expect them. I know we mentioned it earlier about Matsuhiro, about him having killed people. That Chinese guy is involved with an assassination group, and he kept on thinking Matsuhiro was there either to order a kill or to teach the uh, Kawamichi
The
and Azuma
kids.
how to kill people. He's like, nope, just here to make yakisoba.
He's like, right, yakisoba. That's right.
Yeah, that's like the height of that battle because they didn't really make anything super cool. They just made a yakisoba dog.
He made a yakisoba panini.
That was what Azuma made, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean that's pretty much like the. It wasn't like the biggest crazy moment, but it was still pretty funny though. Like it was
Oh yeah,
the
wasn't
challenger
the
was
fight the guy from America who was trained with Italian cooking and got
right.
super enthralled by what prefecture of baseball team was it?
Like that was the most random character. He was an American guy that trained to cook Italian food.
You know what he
Uh,
reminded me of? He reminded me of the guy from Tropic Thunder who pretending to be a dude and another dude being another dude or something like
dude.
that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh man,
Robert Downey Jr.'s character.
I love what was it called? The auto tune version of that.
Yeah.
That was I'm a dude pretending to be a dude of another dude of a dude. Oh my god, I don't remember. I remember it was pretty funny though.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It's like almost more than 10 years at this point for that. But
What was
anyways,
what was the competition after the yakisoba?
yeah, so after that, that was when the, my opinion, the best reactions happened. This was Koala versus Azuma. This is where they have to make, I don't
An
remember what
animal
type of
bread,
bread.
right?
Was it an animal bread or was it a
Yeah,
sweet bread?
it was an animal bread, or it had to be in the shape of an animal.
Right. So
Is what I recall. Yeah.
they had Mokoyama make this elaborate Chinese dragon, and they showed him naked, kneeling down, knitting like a grandma. Uh, uh, Basically sweaters and gloves and stuff like that, and that's how he makes his expert dragon bread. Do you even remember what materials he used? He used like orange and chocolate, didn't he?
I think he used I think he used like orange marmalade for the outer crust layer.
Hmm.
Like after he's done weaving this like super complicated dragon bread, he puts like orange marmalade on it so it gives it like this beautiful shine whenever he's done baking it.
And how did Azuma make his bread?
Ozma, I remember Ozma like took a bunch of like greens, and he like mashed them up into this like green liquid, and then I think he combined it with some type of sugar, and then
Yeah, all I
that's
remember was it came out looking like
he
a
did it
green
very
turtle.
secretly.
He did.
He did it secretly, and the build up to that scene was so random. I remember because when he was baking it, so the guy shows his dragon bread, and oh the best part was Kurenagi. The Kurenagi's like, I'm sorry, Kazuma. You have lost this competition. Like this is even before he saw Kazuma's bread. He's like, Kazuma, it's not your fault. Uh, it's because your opponent is way better than you. I'm sorry that you straight up lost. Like the Kurenagi fashion. Like in Kurenagi fashion, he's like already doubting the people before he even
It,
tries the bread. He's
keep
like,
in mind, he
he's,
said this. Did he say this right after he had like a whole montage of him on a flywire acting out Bruce Lee moves?
no, 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 no. That didn't happen yet. The fly moves was right after he eats the dragon bread, right? But he hasn't eaten the dragon bread yet.
Oh, right, right, okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's like, Kazuma, I'm sorry, but you're done for. You're done. I don't know what else I can tell you. And then what happens? The lights go out like a giant thunderstorm. Like this is during a giant thunderstorm, which is so random. A giant lightning bolt hits the building, and all the lights go out. And this is the setup. This is like the perfect setup for Ozuma's bread. Ozuma takes his bread out of the oven, and it emits this like crazy green glow inside the whole building.
There's like yellow halos of light going throughout. How does that even
That's right.
reflect off of freaking ceiling tile and is not reflected in any way, shape, or form?
I was like, where's the original light coming from?
Exactly. He's like, I can understand the one coming from the turtle, but not these extra lights.
And like everyone goes into like this crazy gas, and Kuranagi's like, impossible. What is this? And everybody thinks this is gonna be like the worst bread in the world because usually whenever you bake bread that's very slow and low, it causes yes, of course, it causes bread to keep its beautiful color, but in return it causes like some type of reaction that makes bread very bitter. But Ozma counters this this bitterness by doing some type of crazy thing he can do, apparently. And it and whenever Okay, so the tasting part. Can you explain the tasting part? This is
Oh
where
my
everything
goodness.
gets crazy.
Yeah, so going back to Bruce Lee, when he eats Mokoyama Koala-chan's dragon,
Dragon bread.
he immediately gains the soul of the dragon. Bruce Lee, he gets the little martial arts shoes with the black pants, kind of like Fei Long from Street Fighter, same outfit as Bruce Lee, and he does all the moves. He actually gets attached to a flywire because he's, kind of doing like Wuxia stuff in the air, jumping
No, no,
and
no, no,
doing
no,
flying kicks.
no, no.
And then he ends up stuck
He
on
doesn't get
the.
attached to the flyer wire.
Yeah, he's
He
attached to the
does these
top.
crazy he does these crazy moves, and then you don't see the flyer wire until like the reaction ends, and then you see the flyer wire.
I love that they did that so much. I would have been
I know.
okay with them not doing it, but them adding the flywires makes it a whole nother level.
Oh, that like it causes like the reaction to become real in like the visual. Like, do you remember when you were talking about how like these reactions usually, like when we're talking about Soma, these reactions are kind of like in their head and not visually seen by other people.
Exactly, it's just for the audience.
Right, but these reactions from Yakitate Japan, they break the fourth wall. They always break some kind of wall. It's like in literal sense, they sometimes do break walls.
They really do. And
They
after
do.
this fight, we'll talk about another form of walls that they break.
So okay. So after the Bruce Lee reaction, can you explain the turtle reaction?
This is my favorite one. He's being stuck on the wall. He's like, Asuma, give me the bread. And then his helper comes out. He gives him, those $3 sticks
Extendo
that old people buy to help them reach
the
things at the top shelf.
yeah, the extendo arms.
He clamps the turtle by one end, and he slowly, as if Kuronagi is a freaking zoo animal, he
Alli-
puts it
like
into
an
his
alligator.
mouth. Exactly. And he just starts
He bites
spinning
the
at such a fast velocity, and his pupils roll back into his head, and he's like spitting fire. And they actually show Gamera on the screen. Gamera of Godzilla fame, the space turtle.
the space turtle.
Yeah, he's breathing fire out of his head. He like going full exorcist. It's ridiculous. Truly the
Um,
best reaction of the show
is that really your favorite reaction?
thus far. Yes,
Okay. Let's move on. Okay, what was the next fight? Do you remember what was the next fight?
this is actually where the second favorite reaction comes. Is probably your favorite one. This is where uh, doo, doo, doo. Actually, I feel like didn't they introduce an important character after this fight?
Oh, isn't it Best Girl? Didn't they introduce Best Girl
Oh, best
after?
worst girl, more like
No, Best Girl, right?
worst
Best Girl.
worst girl. Oh my God, how can we almost run over that? It was such an important part of the show. Yukino is another sister of
She's the
Tsukino,
older sister,
the
right?
older sister. This is the big bad. This is Frieza of the show. We already had
No,
Vegeta, but
she
this is
no no no.
Frieza.
Frieza looks like an angel compared to her.
Oh my God, dude. I never hated a character more in my life. This is like 15 Friezas for me. I remember being a kid, being absolutely taken aback by Krillin being killed by Frieza, but this is worse than that for me. So they actually have a intermission between the episodes where
Right,
they go into Tsukino's backstory, and she goes to visit her mother's gravesite and prays in front of a tree. Uh, they later show a big elaborate uh, graveyard, and there's Azuma, the manager, and Kawamichi are visiting. It's like, oh my God, this is her mother's graveyard. It's so elaborate. It's like the biggest headstone in the whole place. But he's like, no, it's over there. They point to Tsukino praying at a tree. So what happened was that a long time ago, Yukino took Tsukino's mother's ashes because they have different mothers, right?
right,
Because they always referred to her mother as a Doro Boneko, a thieving cat.
right.
And she went full crazy. She grabbed her mother's ashes in her hands and threw it on the trees like this is where you belong, you know.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes,
she
I
was laughing the
remember.
whole time. You know how they make old school bad guys with the deranged eyes and they're like
Oh,
loving, relishing in their malice.
like she was a little bit. She was beyond crazy. Like
Yeah, she's like P- Mao-sama status.
she's like if Mirai Nikki, if all the episodes of Mirai Nikki were compressed into one character.
Oh yeah, that's appropriate.
Yeah,
Except she doesn't like the main character. She just likes money and power.
that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
She
So
doesn't
go
really
ahead
have
and
anybody
explain.
she likes. You know, this
So go
this
ahead and
lady's
explain
so
the next
bad.
competition.
Sure, but just as an aside, this lady's so bad that she smokes a cigarette brand with the word death on the cover. It has like a scary face on it.
Like the skull and bones.
The skull and bones. Uh, and that encourages everybody to rally around. That's like the driving force for the rest of the arc. And we gotta win for Azusagawa Tsukino.
Yeah, like the first part of the story was them beating the younger sister, and then the second half of the competition was them beating the older
Mhm.
sister. And I actually enjoyed the younger sister. She was of course bratty, like bratty, and they have a lot of money. And keep in mind that and Yukino's store has no money. She's dirt poor,
Very.
you know. So that's the reason why she has to hire Azuma and
That's something I didn't
Kawamichi.
think about till right now. Now that you mentioned it, they each have their own stores, right?
Yeah, they each had their own stores.
Yeah,
She got
Tsukino
like
has
the
the
the,
cheapest
the
one,
cheapest store.
then
Yeah,
Mizuno has the second best store, and then Yukino has the most expensive corporate store.
that's right. Yeah, and I do you remember the part where they're driving home from the very very first competition and the grandfather was like, I think I'm gonna hire those two, and she's like, don't even think about it. They're mine. I saw them first.
And the
Like,
grandfather, the thing about
y-
I notice is that the grandfather all treats them lovingly. He doesn't see their Uh,
negative
yeah,
sides.
he doesn't see Mizuno or Yukino's negative side at all. Yukino is really good at hiding it, of course, and maybe Mizuno, because she's young, he understands.
She's bratty, and
Yeah,
she kind of I don't know. She's kind of like they treat her well because she's the youngest and she gets like the most money and she gets the I think that's why she has like the $200,000 melon bread, which is ridiculous.
did she get the most money, or was that Yukino?
I think one like I think I
Definitely
like it doesn't
either
matter
one of them,
either one of them have like the way more money,
of
way
course.
way way more money. But quick aside, they may have more money, but no one can ever beat that Yukino has the best worker out of all of them.
Oh my God, Kageto, dude, that guy
Yep.
is. He's worth like 10 employees. He moves like, in Dragon Ball Z when they fight and they do like the mirror images, they move so fast. You see multiple of Goku fighting Frieza or whatever. That's exactly what it does, just to stock shells and stuff like that. And he's
He's
literally
like
the
the
only guy
embodiment
ever
of
working at
Naruto.
the front. Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Shadow Clone
He,
Jutsu,
he moves so
Kagetsu,
fast, it looks like he has shadow clones all over the
Shadow
place.
Clone Kagetsu, really good.
I feel so bad for him. Like I know there's a lot of characters I feel bad about, but oh my god, I feel so bad for him because like before the competition even started, they didn't even tell him that they were gonna go on a like to go to the competition, so they just left him alone to handle the store by
I
himself.
really want to
And
finish this show just to see if they don't spoil this for me if they go into his backstory and or his abilities aside from moving super fast and being a really good labor hand.
well, I remember in the later episodes he was able to collect these 7 Dragon Balls,
Oh,
and
jeez, you, you almost got a rise out of me for spoiling stuff. We were even talking about
alright,
Dragon Ball. I don't see how I didn't see it coming.
I know.
Oh man.
All right, moving on to the next competition. Moving on before I spoil anything.
Something we definitely forgot to mention about the fight with Mokoyama as a koala.
Uh, are you talking about like we just passed up the idea that he was a koala?
So there was a really important character introduction in that fight. It was the second judge named Dave
Oh my
Hishiguchi.
gosh!
Yeah, how how
How,
did he's
how
so
did we miss up
he's
Dave?
hard to miss, dude. He's literally introduced on top of a bulldozer because he can't
He's the
walk.
Kool-Aid guy. He's the Kool-Aid guy of judges.
Yeah, well, didn't he come before?
I think he came in right when they did the was it the melon bread, right?
Exactly, the dragon and
Or
the
the drag?
turtle.
Yeah, the drag or the semifinals. He came in the semifinals. So yeah, this is part of the
This is
semifinals
an
fight.
important character introduction because he's gonna be in there for the rest of the show pretty much. He, the way they measure his rating
Wait, wait,
because
wait,
he can't
wait.
speak
Before you get
properly.
into that,
Okay,
can you explain to me how he entered the building?
yeah, they broke through the wall on a bulldozer. He's laying there.
they
He has a little personal assistant that helps transcribe what he's saying because the whole time he's Isogashi, Isogashi, so busy, so busy. He doesn't say anything else.
wait. Can you also describe his stature? I think that's a big thing you're missing out is his stature.
Um, the most common way to describe him is kind of like a Pope-looking Jabba the Hutt. He's like a super
Wait, wait.
fat middle-aged king type.
Do you, do you remember in what was it? I think the first season of Attack on Titan where they had to close the wall and they had to use that giant boulder to close the wall.
Yeah.
He's the giant boulder.
Oh my god, yeah, he is.
He's the giant boulder. He's basically the size of a giant boulder. He had the only way he can move from point A to point B is through a giant tractor that's able to break through walls. Like he's so big he can't even get into the building normally. So that and keep in mind this competition is on like the third or like the second or third floor. So they had to build this giant on ramp for him from the street all the way up to this third floor, and then they smashed a giant hole through this building just for so because he could judge.
Yeah, he didn't really have a good reaction on that point. They just kind of he wailed and they measured the decibels of his scream, and it's to the
Yeah,
point where
yeah,
everybody has to wear hearing protection. I just wanted to
yeah.
mention that
That's
aside because there's gonna be an episode coming up where he has a really good reaction.
reaction.
Yeah.
The
So
most ridiculous reaction.
speaking about character introductions, they actually introduce another important character, Kanmaru Shigeru. He's like a pink-haired. Uh, I wouldn't say he's a bad guy. He's basically Yukino's hitman, bread baking hitman.
I would describe him as like if Kuranagi was the young Kuranagi. That's how I would describe
Well,
him.
they have the
He's like
same
super
background.
smart.
He's like Kuyanagi mixed with Azuma. He's just not
Yeah,
backwater.
yeah. He's not he's not backward. He's just very smart and very knowledgeable. But he's like the type of person that's whenever he bakes bread, he thinks more about what's that type of cooking where you do everything very scientifically. I forgot what it's called.
Do you mean with the immersion blender or like a
Like
sous vide
immersion blenders or immersion
gastronomy?
blenders. Gastronomy. There's us. He's like the gastronomy, like the gastronomist. So what is that
Correct,
if that's even a
gastronomist would
word?
be the correct word.
Right. So that's how I describe him, like a very scientific bread baker.
Yeah. Do you
All right,
remember
go
what
ahead,
type
go
of
ahead.
bread they made in the first battle with Kanmuri? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Kanmuri Shigeru is his
Is
name.
that pink hair guy, right?
Pink haired guy, correct.
All
So
right, pink hair guy. Gotcha.
his first fight was against Kawamichi. Do you remember what
I
type of
honestly
bread they were
don't.
supposed to make?
I honestly don't remember what bread they were making, just because Kawamichi never finished the bread. And can you?
Exactly. I don't
Right.
know because Yukino sabotaged it.
Oh yeah, he straight up sabotaged. And honestly, he didn't even need to sabotage the bread because the guy, the pink hair guy, the smart guy, he could have totally won by himself. But I guess the evil sister just wanted to do it because she's evil. Like, look at me,
Exactly.
I'm so evil. I'll
She
just do it because
she
I'm
even says
evil.
she doesn't like beating people. She likes destroying them, crushing them, and she
She
almost
she was
did that.
holding in her laughter the whole time
Oh
while
man,
he's trying to make his bread.
she looked like a cartoon character. It was so bad.
Oh.
Well, she is a cartoon
Not
character, but like I'm talking about Looney Tunes type of laughing.
the evil, like the super evil. I'm the big bad guy. Evil. Look at me. Rub it in
Exactly.
your face that I'm the big bad
I
guy.
just got away with something bad. Nobody. She. What did she use? The endo protease to keep Kawamuchi's bread from rising.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Like,
she
yeah,
killed his
she's
yeast.
trying to knead his bread. Yeah, he's trying to knead his bread all normal. She introduces some type of bacteria into his bread that causes it to kill all the yeast, and he's over there kneading his bread for like 30 minutes, and then he asks the proctor to raise like the temperature of the room to some ungodly degree, so the bread could
Everybody
rise
was
even.
dying in that room. Like they hammered wood panels next to Dave because he was so fat they couldn't move him out, and time was just faster to board up around him.
Yeah, just board up the wall
Yeah,
so
why wouldn't
the
people
room would
just
heat up
leave the
fast.
room? I guess the spectators wanted to watch that badly.
They wanted to watch a man knead an unrisen bread for like an hour.
I feel like it was longer than that. I don't know why they just didn't tell him to stop. He finally stopped after he passed out
He
from heat
passed out.
exhaustion.
Which is absurd. And then I mean that competition, I feel so bad for him, but that's what, dude. Okay, you know that Scooby Doo meme. Shaggy's like I'm only using 1% of my
Oh
power.
my gosh, yeah.
This is the Ozma. This is like the Ozma meme where it's like he goes from 1% power to like his full power. He unlocks his full power after this part.
Oh, that's where they finally released the secret weapon.
The secret
I
weapon.
was like,
Yeah, the
I
secret
leaned in
weapon.
my chair. I was like, pupil to my monitor, watching the LED of the bread, glorious 480 or 720p, whatever it was. And
Sorry about that.
yeah, what was the name of the material? Pyrite or something like that?
Pedalite.
Pedalite. Yeah. So that pedalite board basically allows him to cook bread with infrared rays. Was that the description?
Yeah, it was some type of weird like pizza stone if I had to describe it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of. Because what else? What other in real life? Like, what other type of boards do they stick under bread to cook with? Just pizza stone. I think it's the same thing,
I
isn't it?
Yeah, it's just basically a pizza stone. Like if anything, it's probably like a condensed pizza oven.
Hmm.
Like it helps to evenly cook bread. Like when they unveiled the secret weapon, it was like the most like saddest thing I've ever seen. Is like it's just a gray board. It's just a great. They carried that for like literally 20 episodes, and it's just a gray board. What are they gonna do with it?
I wasn't sad
And
about it because it looks just like a cutting board, and the thing is, this like a special cutting board? That's what I thought when I saw it wrapped up,
yeah, it looked very like non secret weapon like.
nondescript.
But the atomic bomb he drops on the competition is it's mind blowing.
Yeah,
It's the most.
this is where the bad guy, does something heinous, and the good guy just calmly walking, but you see all the energy, around him, and each step he takes, the ground gives away for his step. That's the type of energy Kazuma was giving off.
Like I don't like I know this competition had like several other, I think one or two more fights after this fight, but this is the main, the big main fight, because after Kawamichi was knocked out, this is basically Kazuma versus like the big bad guy.
It wasn't the
I would.
bad guy. It was the samurai coming back to get his
Oh,
just desserts. Something that
that's right. That's right.
he
It was the
trained the whole
samurai.
series for, that, obsessed him to get the perfect amount of folds in his bread.
Right, right. Yeah, going back from like the previous episode.
Yeah.
This was Kazuma.
Suwabara was
Uh,
his name.
yeah, this is Kazuma versus Suwabara. Like in the previous episode, Suwabara was beaten by the 300 and something layer croissant. So Suwabara, he goes into this weird training montage of him like sitting under a waterfall, meditating about trying to make this like 600 something layer croissant.
Yeah, and it wasn't until his master comes up to him, he's like, Suwabara. He's like, "What? I told you I'm not going back to the sword." He's like, "No, I've accepted that you're not gonna come back to the way of the sword, but you're not gonna get anything done until you cool off and come back." And then that's when he decides his a secret method of obtaining the perfect croissant is to stick his hands in dry ice and super freeze them.
I'm so glad they put a disclaimer
Yeah, they put
about
it
how
like
you
three
should do
different
this.
times. Don't do it, you'll lose your hands.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a bad idea.
Super bad. That's the only disclaimer they had to put. Everything was super realistic. I think that's why.
I, I mean, when you say realistic, I mean, I always see people jumping around in midair like a turtle.
I mean, he was on a fly wire. It's
Oh yeah,
realistic
that's true.
enough. It's realistic.
He was, uh, and people do breathe fire. You know, fire breathers. People do that.
That's
So
true. He could have been faking it.
definitely makes sense. Yep. So random. Well, wait, real
You
quick
know what I
about
like about this fight? Aside from the 624-fold croissant, was just the attitude of uh, Kazuma Azuma the whole time. He's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm gonna beat you." And
he was like madman. He
yeah,
was like madmanning
it
it.
was funny. It was because everybody was like at a funeral, and then you have the one loud guy that everybody's ignoring.
That's right. Oh, that did what that like you described it perfectly. Like Oz was like, "Yep, I'm gonna make this bread," and no, Ozma the whole time wasn't he like, "I'm so sorry, you're done for. I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna beat you with this
I'm
bread."
about to ruin
And
this
then
whole man's career.
and Kuwabara's over there like laughing like a madman, like I've created this amazing 600 something layer croissant, and he has to like freeze his dough to like negative 20
Yeah, not
degrees or
even
something. So
Tsukino or Matsushiro were they were all sad.
yeah, there is that Kawabichi was like he had to go to like the infirmary or something because of the heat exhaustion, which was hilarious. Actually, look, can we? I think no. This fight was like after the main competition. This was like the semifinals fight, so I'll hold that till later on.
Yeah, I think for me this was like the best battle. Like the final bread battle didn't even matter to me. Of Azuma versus Kanmuri.
Right. Okay. So go. Can you describe Azuma's bread? Can you go ahead and tell us this amazing reaction?
So instead of doing the normal thing of just yelling, the judges were Kuroyanagi and Dave, previously mentioned, barging in on a forklift or whatever. I keep on forgetting the
Right.
type of construction equipment they use. Uh, they both straight up died to the point where they had to bring in ENTs to check their vitals, which they had no pulses, and their
They
pupils
straight
were
up
rolled back into their
die.
eyes. Yeah, they straight up died. And
It's
remember,
so hard to explain that to people. Like, so he made a bread that just straight up just
it
killed
was
two
so good it
guys.
killed them. And you
Yeah.
remember when we were talking about how all the reactions are literal, like the fly wire from the Bruce Lee thing in the spitting fire. He actually
Right.
did that. They actually
Right.
died
Like
because
they straight up died. Like they checked their pulse. They straight up died.
yeah, they went to actual heaven. The reason I know this because they referenced Azuma's grandfather one of the girls in the club. Like, do you know this guy? He came by here one time. Like, how would they know that if not, it's the real deal?
Wait. Did you mention this a while back that you thought Ozma when Ozma first made this bread, you thought his grandpa he straight up killed his
I thought he
grandfather?
died for real because he wasn't moving. Like, it was really sad. But I was super relieved when they showed him later on in the show just farming on his land, laughing to himself. Oh, I sure hope he brings that bread back to me.
It's so random.
Yeah,
And okay.
what I love about
So
that scene
there it
is,
happened. What?
yeah,
Good.
Dave was like, he had like five really hot chicks on his arms. Like, when you go to a host club and they're just feeding you drinks and stuff like that, that's what it was. And,
I mean, I'm sure that's like the first time Dave has ever been able to move freely.
yeah, when he's dead.
Yeah, we just did.
And Kuroyanagi, what he had was just the one girl that looked exactly like his girlfriend from America back when he lived there.
America.
And so like he's like, please just let me hold you until I go back to life. And he just
No,
like
didn't he want to marry her, right?
Yeah, he did. Because he like repeatedly thinks about her in the show.
Like he wants to marry her the whole time, and then she has to reject him because she's like, I would love to marry you, but you're not real. You can't. You're
It's
not
not
gonna
your
be
time.
here forever.
It's not your
Yeah,
time.
it's not your time.
You gotta go back. You're not dead yet.
See, you know what my favorite part about this reaction is you think the death scene was good, but it's what happens after the death
Oh
scene
my
is what makes
gosh.
it spectacular.
Lay it on me.
Okay. So he's talking to the bunny girl in heaven, and she tells him it's not your time, and he slowly fades back to reality, and bam, he snaps. He snaps back awake, and everyone is shocked. They're like, "Oh my god, what just
And they
happened?"
were accusing him of like having to call the cops and stuff like that.
Yeah, because he just straight up murdered two people.
Exactly.
So Kuronagi wakes up, and the first thing he does, he immediately he points at Kazuma. Kazuma, you're the winner. And Kuroma's like, what the hell?
Suwabara.
What the hell? He's like, what? You didn't even try my bread, and then Kuronagi straight up just gets it in his face like, is your bread gonna take me to heaven? No, that's what I thought. You lose. And then Kuwabara's like, okay, well,
You keep on
let
calling
me at
him
least have a.
Kuwabara. You're mixing Kawamichi and Suwabara's names together. It was
Oh my
Suwabara.
god, that's how crazy this reaction
Yeah, it
is.
was.
Okay, Suwabara. He's like, okay, well, if that's how you judge it, I need to get a taste of this bread, this bread that kills you and takes you to heaven. And the judge, what was his name?
Kuroyanagi.
God damn it, Kuronagi.
Kuroyanagi.
God damn it, why do they have such complicated
It's
names?
Japanese. We're just not used to it.
I know. Okay, so Kuronagi is like, hell no, I'm gonna take all this bread home to study it. And what the minute he says that, one of his bodyguards is like, hey, Dave, the big guy just took off with all the bread, and then the camera pans out and you just see this like bulldozer like running down this street, the street with Kazuma's bread.
Yeah. He straight up right
Oh
away.
my
It was like
god.
he had the same idea. He's like, I want to go
Yeah.
back to heaven. And the thing about that bread is like it doesn't always do that. Just occasionally the first time.
It's that first hit. It's that first hit that gets
Yeah,
you.
you need more bread to get the full effect each
The
time you
full-
eat it.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
It was
It's
definitely
so
by far. Now I'm like starting to think, was this better than the other one? Even though I really like the Gomera thing.
I mean it's very hard to choose like a good reaction because they're all so good. There's so many good reactions. Okay. So after this battle was like the final fight scene between Azuma and pink hair guy, whatever his name is.
Kanmuri.
I honestly don't really care. That wasn't even that good of a fight. It was a
Not
so-so fight.
really. It was just a one and done.
You know what fight I want to talk about?
Which one?
I want to talk about the loser semifinals.
Oh, that was
with,
really good. I really enjoyed
with-
that.
with the Kawamichi's crab bread.
No, it wasn't
That
that
was like-
before that, because the final bread that Kawamichi made was the not the dancing bread, that was Suwabara's, the singing bread.
No. The crab bread was the dancing bread. Remember, because if you poke it in the
No,
middle,
the
it
dancing
dances
bread
back and
was
forth.
Suwabara's snake bread. But
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
the
That's right.
final spread when he had the afro was the when they had the whole thing where he's like trying to stop saying what the heck, or was it that he
Oh
says
wait,
Nanyato?
that
Nanyato?
um that's the part where he goes off into a nunnery.
Yeah, and gains his afro.
Okay,
That's where he
okay.
becomes
It's like
Rock Lee.
I just want to preface to the people listening to this is like whatever we're talking about makes no sense at
Because it
all. Like
doesn't in the show.
we're talking about a red anime. We're talking about red anime, and and like so this guy just goes off to a nunnery where he trains to be where he trains to have an afro. And none of this makes sense at all. Like I'm listening to it and it makes no sense to me.
I
All right,
lost
all
it.
right. I just can't.
Oh man, so
It's
just
so weird.
talking about it is like just as good as watching it the first time.
Okay, okay. So I want to go real quick into this crab red. Like it was the most underrated reaction in the in the whole
When
show.
did he make that crab bread?
I don't recall, but it was like a semis fight. It was like a small semis fight. Uh, oh, I remember. I remember the fight. So they build up his challenger. This is all his old the old woman, right?
Oh right,
They
mother's
that's
hands.
right. The mother's hand. So so the manager, the Afro guy, he's talking to Kawamichi. He's like, so your challenger is this mother-looking person. She has this thing called the mother's hand. This makes no sense. This thing makes no sense at all. So Kawamichi's looking at her is like, is her mother's hand better than my solar gauntlets? turns turns out like the whole mother's hand thing was a complete lie.
Just because,
And she was
yeah, because Kawamichi definitely needs to feel like he has the disadvantage in order to do good.
right,
He
right. So
doesn't do good if he is, blustering and saying, "Oh, I'm the best."
right, so they get into this competition. Turns out she's just a third-rate cook that barely knows how to.
They didn't
She
even
knows how to make
show
like the
the. They just showed the bread finish. That's how fast it was.
yeah, and then they show like Kawamichi making this like weird crab-looking bread that whenever you poke at the top, it makes like it goes back and forth. It
I
moves like a
remember that
crab.
because
It
they
does
were like cunny, 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 cunny.
Kani. So basically, when Kurenagi he eats the bread, he does this like minor reaction where he acts like a crab and he has like his hands out and like the two scissors kind of like makes himself look like he has crab claws,
Yeah,
and he dances back and forth like a crab. He's like Kani, and he's like, oh, that's it, and then Kami just like, that was it, that was the whole reaction, that was
you didn't
that
get to
was
see it
lame.
dance.
Yeah.
Too sad about it. Oh my
Uh,
god.
and then it cuts to Kurenagi outside of the competition hall in like a dark room, and he pulls his hands out of his pockets,
They're
and his hands are
shaking.
still they're shaking because it's still in the crab form, like. And what does he say after that? He's like, I
Oh,
can't
this
play.
is a dangerous spread. I can't play rock and paper scissors for at least 2 weeks. No
That's
John
so
can pull for me.
that was so underrated. That's the
Yeah, like
most
to the point where I
underrated
forgot
reaction.
about it until you mentioned it.
I forgot all about Mother's hand. That was so stupid.
Honestly, I think that was better than the final fight with Azuma after the petty light board got destroyed, which we completely glossed over because we wanted to talk about the stupid stuff
Oh,
more.
oh yeah, the pet light. Oh yeah, like best girl takes the pet light board and destroys it.
Worst girl. Worst. Definitely.
Yeah, she right after like when Azuma's being confronted about killing Kurenagi and Dave, she steals the pet
She
light board and
steals it
then
after
takes
everybody leaves the uh,
the hall,
the
right?
hall, and
The
she's there
the
talking
competition
with
hall.
Kanmuri, and then she notices the pet light board at them, and she's just, laughing at the
She
oven.
just yoinks it.
Yeah,
She yoinks it.
laughing to herself. I was like, oh yeah, he's right. I shouldn't do anything during the competition, but you didn't say anything about that before.
Right. So she takes the board. She takes it to a playground, like a kid's playground, smashes it into sand,
Well, she had smashed it,
and
then she took it. She like sanded
oh
it
yeah,
down.
and you know what just came to my mind? That's basically them repeating the ash scene with her mother, with Yukino's
Oh my
mother.
God, it is, isn't it?
It's the repeat of that
Oh,
scene. I just figured that out now. None of this makes sense at all. Like she took the petalite board, she smashed it into ashes and scattered it all over the place.
well, she's being evil,
This
dude. She got away with it.
no, but like when I'm listening, when like people who haven't watched this anime are listening to it, oh my gosh, I bless anyone who ever made it this far through the episode, because none of this makes sense.
I think when we started talking about the Dave going to heaven is when we started to go off the rails.
I mean, the anime goes off the rail at that point too, so you can't really blame us for it.
No, not at all.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I have anything else to say
No,
about this anime.
I'm out of gas.
I'm done. I'm done. All right, we'll catch you guys later.
Yeah, I kind of
All
feel
right.
bad for recommending Rainbow after seeing Yakitate. I definitely had the sweeter end of the deal.
You have the better deal. You have the better deal. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay, guys, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.